off scene, but people are losing their minds. People are losing their minds because Bad Bunny is gonna be doing the Super Bowl halftime show. This is incredible. The level of upset. You ever see somebody get so mad that you're like, this is just weird? Like, not even, we're past like the levels of angry I expect you to get, and we're into a new realm where it knocks me out of even any sort of reactionary response. I'm more just like, are you okay? One time, I was at a McDonald's, right? And this dude, he must have wanted the pickles that come with the sandwich. They come with the sandwich. He got a hamburger, comes with a pickle. His hamburger didn't have a pickle. And I don't know what else was happening in his life. Maybe he usually handles disappointment very well. Maybe they caught him on the wrong day. Maybe they, you know what I mean? Maybe this man's been through a lot, and this is finally the thing that made him snap. This is possible. Everybody has their line, everybody has their limit, and some people's limit, you wish that your limit would come when it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? You want your limit to come when something actually happens, you know? Like, you want your limit to come when it's like, maybe you've lost your job, you don't know what you're gonna do next, rent is due, and your dad is passed, and it's just all happening at one time, and then you lose it. That's when everybody would understand you losing it. But instead of losing it when you're supposed to lose it, some people stay strong. They don't let on that they're about to lose it. And so then they go to McDonald's. And they order a burger. And then they realize the burger doesn't have a pickle, and then all the injustice in the world comes out. All at once in this McDonald's. And so now you're screaming in front of a bunch of strangers because you don't have a pickle. And we all know that you know you don't have the pickle, not because you opened the sandwich to check, just in case you were like, hey, is the world fair today where there'll be a pickle on my sandwich? No, you know there's not a pickle because you ate half the sandwich and you haven't hit pickle yet. And so you finally open the sandwich, just give it a look. Be like, maybe this is a slippery one. Maybe this pickle's sneaky. You know, they supposed to put it on top of the cheese before the bun, maybe under the condiments, but maybe this one, oof. Maybe this one's sneaking in there between the meat and the cheese. Who knows, right? And then you open the sandwich, you realize you've had no pickle. You realize you've been looking forward to pickle this entire hamburger, and it was never gonna come. It was never gonna come. It was never gonna come, just like your job isn't coming back, just like... No, it's all coming back in real time. It's like the pickle is almost this unintentional metaphor, like the pickle is missing the way your father is missing in your life because he's gone now. And so you just start letting it all out. It just comes out. You start screaming at someone behind the counter who is 17. Just someone who is beginning their life. Someone who has the whole world ahead of them. You used to have the whole world ahead of you as well. But then life happened and it came at you so fast you weren't sure what you were doing when you were doing it. And so now at home you have somebody that you're married to that like y'all are almost like strangers passing in the hallway, and you have 2 kids but you don't really see yourself in them at all. And so now you wonder if maybe you were too hard on your dad and you wish you could tell him that, but he's gone. And so is the pickle. The pickle's not in there. The pickle is supposed to be here, right? And that's why you end up screaming at this 17-year-old at the top of your lungs to the point where people are recording you on their phone, which is never great. Your life never gets better after that. That's never the beginning of something wonderful. It means you're probably about to lose the next job before you even get it because you've lost your job and you're gonna apply for more. You might even apply here. They won't hire you. But the next job you apply for, they're gonna look this up. They're gonna put your name in Google, and then this video will come up of you screaming at this 17-year-old that you accidentally called dad. And that's a tough part about not snapping at the right time. If you had snapped 15 minutes ago at home, everybody would get it. Somebody might even hug you. But now you're in McDonald's and they're just calling the police. No, it's tough. It's tough. What I'm trying to say is people have snapped over Bad Bunny doing the Super Bowl halftime show, a no pickles in my hamburger at McDonald's amount. And it is stressful to watch. I understand why the NFL's doing. The NFL is trying to expand its reach and everything. What better way than with Bad Bunny? But Bad Bunny is over here, like, he's defiant in a way that I think is very special. Because Bad Bunny is doing this, like, record-breaking tour right now. And he's not doing it in the U.S., you know? And I think a lot of people can't handle that. A lot of people are like, they're like, why won't he come? Why won't he do MSG? Why won't he? And it's like, and you know, he's been asked about it in interviews, and he said a couple things that also are gonna irk exactly who he's trying to irk. Because they asked him, like, why aren't you touring? We looked at the dates. Where's Chicago? Where's LA? Where's New York? You know? And why aren't you touring in the US? And then he said, because it's just not necessary. Not necessary to tour in the center of the universe, according to us. Not necessary. Ooh, that was a gut punch. Not necessary. Ooh. Don't worry, I'll be making plenty of money around the world. You know the rest of the world. Like, literally. They had other people ask him. And he was like, hey, look, I don't do shows here right now because I don't need ICE hanging outside of my shows trying to do some sort of sting or something like that. I want my people to be safe and everything. In fact, if you want to see me bad enough, I'll be doing a bunch of shows in Puerto Rico. You can come to Puerto Rico. And plenty of people were like, Puerto Rico? Where's that? Because it's actually terrifying. It is like bone-chilling scary how many people who live in the U.S., like U.S. citizens, that don't know what land the U.S. has. It's like, I don't know what civics class or what, is it just geography? How are we failing the youth and the elderly? Like, it's like, because it's not like you can just blame it on the kids. Grown people also don't know. This is crazy. All right, look, just bring you up to speed, okay? Real quick. And I'm not judging anybody because I might even have the dates wrong, okay? But in 1898, at the end of the Spanish-American War, America got Puerto Rico. So already, territory, Puerto Rico, right? 1917, Puerto Ricans gained U.S. citizenship. 1952, Puerto Rico became like a sort of commonwealth, which I guess a lot of people miss because, like, we don't have a king, or we didn't have a king, or like whatever. But like, just like Simple, simple, simple. That's the status. So if you are Puerto Rican, you are a U.S. citizen, okay? And that is also why when people were upset, they were like, why can't somebody from America do the halftime show? And look. Look, listen to me. The people screaming that are coming from a very specific place. They have watched the Super Bowl religiously, and the last few years have watched it get blacker. And I understand. After Kendrick, they were like, it's black now. Is it finally black enough? You blacked it. You did it. It's been blacked. All right? That's enough. It's been black, and I watched it. I didn't get it. But it was black, and you had it. Can we have one? Because I don't think you're gonna get blacker. So it's gotta be our turn again. And they thought, surely, their time was coming. You know? After Kendrick, next one gotta be, You know what I mean? Yeah. Next one gotta be the one that does that song with the twang to it that you really like. Gotta be. Come on, we even look. You just did it. So I did all that rapping. I let rapping in my house just because it was a Super Bowl halftime show. That's as black as it's gonna get. I refuse to let it get any blacker, all right? These people were like, it can't possibly get blacker. And then they were like, all right, I'll raise you no English. Oh, you think you're mad now? Ooh, we gonna make you pray for Kendrick. We gonna make you. Ooh, Kendrick, please hit us with some symbolism. I don't even understand what's going on now. Oh, no, this is so funny. They're so mad. They're mad in a way that's like, I don't even know, like even if I wanted to help, I wouldn't even know where to start. Because what are you so mad about? It's like, because it's Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl. It's not Spanish Bowl. It's Super Bowl. What's next? I love what's next, by the way. People love to take a thing that's actually happening and then do a hypothetical that'll never happen off of what's next. You see Bad Bunny's doing Super Bowl halftime. What's next? You gonna make Superman Mexican? That's what's next. That's definitely gonna happen. What's next? What's next? You know what I mean? What's that? Because it's scary. It's scary, you know? You watch the Super Bowl halftime show, these people might, by accident, learn some Spanish. Then what's next? If I learn the Spanish, what's next? If I learn the Spanish, what happens then? Because if I learn the Spanish, then when people are speaking Spanish, I'll know what they're saying, and there's no way they're saying anything nice about me. But no, people losing their minds. I can't believe it. Spanish? He's gonna speak Spanish? I'm gonna have to sit there and listen to somebody sing and rap in Spanish? I already had to listen to rap. You know what that was like for me? You know what that was like for me to hear rap in between the game I bet on? I'm gonna have to sit there and listen to somebody Spanish. I'm gonna have to sit there listening, watching the Super Bowl halftime show to Spanish. I'm gonna have to sit there with my guacamole and my chips in my lap, listening to Spanish. I am gonna have to sit there while I eat the tacos that I Uber Eats to my place, listening to Spanish. The idea that I could have a deluxe crunch wrap and have to listen to Spanish is crazy. Not in my America. Spanish? Are you serious? I can't believe I'm gonna have to listen. I want all the Spanish in my mouth. I don't want it in my ears. Which has like pretty much been the approach of a large portion of the U.S. for a long time. So much of the culture, so much of what people like about a culture that they're willing to take in, they try to do as best as possible to the exclusion of the people that the culture's actually from, right? So you'll see how people of Latin descent have been treated in this country the entire time while we fall in love with more and more and more and more of their stuff. You know what I mean? And it's something that obviously happens to black people. It's something that's happened to Asian Americans and everything, but it's something that doesn't always get addressed, is that if you loved what we make, then just love us. We made it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing to love almost every aspect of a culture and then meet the person who created that culture and be like, I don't know if I trust you though. I just kind of want all your stuff at my house. It's like, oh, I love that thing that you do. I'd probably just take it. What if I took it and then pretend it was mine? Wouldn't that be dope? What if I take it so hard that one day I tell you about it? No, I tell you about it and then I tell you you're doing it wrong because it's actually... No, what if you have your entire culture with a different understanding of everything, a different understanding of the world because it's from a different lens, and it's also from perspective of a people who have built a very rich heritage and everything. And what if one day I stop by and I'm like, oh, that looks cool, I'll take some of that. And then when I say it back to you and you're like, that's actually not how you say it, I'm like, I think I know how to say it. All right, I'm very familiar with the Latin X culture, all right? Huh. Please, that's sweet of you to try to help me, but I'm well-versed. Oh. That's wild, because that was the laugh. All right. No, because you see, Bad Bunny moves in a way that's very intentional. And he has the loyalty of his fans and his people because of how he moves. Because there are plenty of people that truly, and I'm not saying this from a place of judgment. I'm saying it just from noticing. There are people who truly forget where they come from as soon as they get success. It is a very, sadly, once again, it's a very American mindset to have that as long as you get taken care of, as long as you're okay, you can leave whatever behind, And you're out now. And you're out. You made it out. And then you start to rationalize in your head, well, if I made it out, then people just have to do what I did to make it out. I'm not special. And they'll be able to take care of themselves. And then all of a sudden you're gone. And there's not a real building of community. There's no upward mobility for the people around you. You just up and went, right? And look, it's also a very hard thing to do to try to bring everybody with you. Plenty of people have gone bankrupt trying to do so. You see us like, and I've done it from time to time. I'm not innocent of this thing. So once again, I'm not judging. But you see us with entertainers and athletes, we'll judge them for like going broke quickly, and we always make the assumption it was because they made stupid decisions. Maybe they bought one chain, and then we're like, well, they were out here buying chains, and so now they're broke, and so. But more often than not, what happens, and what a lot of people don't talk about, what a lot of people don't give them credit for, is one of the reasons that they went broke is that this new money, it's a lot of money, but this new money tried to bring everyone with them at the same time. We're not able to set up systems for everybody to succeed. And so then everybody was broke in like 5 years' time. It's because of their heart that they were broke. It's because of their intention to try to bring everybody with them that they aren't in some mansion somewhere, Essentially, you had something like that happen to MC Hammer. There were a lot of people that hear how much money MC Hammer made and then how much he lost, and they thought to themselves, oh, he must have been balling out or something. He probably deserved to lose all that money. Then you hear interviews with MC Hammer. He talks about his business and everything. He talks about the people that he hired. This man hired family. He hired friends from the hood. Just try to give them jobs, either to keep them out of trouble or just get them some money because he knew that they would do the right things with their money. But he's one man. He's one man, and eventually you can't have all these people on the payroll. You can't have all this money going out when not enough is coming in, when not enough is coming back, and so eventually you do lose everything. So it's an admirable thing, and it's a smart thing to say, hey, if you want to see me, come spend your money here. Come to Puerto Rico. You can come do the shows. Anybody can come. We'll have a good time here. You see Bad Bunny thinking ahead. I'm not going to do shows in a place that has these like ICE raids and everything, because also in Chicago, there was an ICE raid of this apartment complex. And in the apartment complex, they grabbed everybody. They grabbed everybody in the worst way. They zip-tied kids. Some kids, scared, crying, terrified. Nobody knew what was happening. They entered the building with flashbangs and everything, all because they said that they were there for, I think, like 6 members of some gang. Trend Day Aragua. I'm trying to pronounce it the way the president pronounces it. Trend Day Aragua. They were there for them. And look, I don't even know if that's true, because apparently they didn't show anybody any warrants, So maybe that's just something they said for later, after they went ahead and did the raid. But they zip-tied, they held black and brown people alike, And that's the other thing. It's like pretending that somebody's fight is not your fight is only going to work for so long. Like, pretending something is not your problem will make it your problem very soon. Because already Supreme Court has pretty much ruled that ICE can profile so they can grab who they need to grab, right? And it's like, okay, well, what does an American look like to the people who are grabbing people? You know what I mean? Because, I don't know, I feel like I have some pretty good diction. But I could probably still get zip ties. You know, if we're going off of looks, it won't really matter that I'm like, sir, please, I'm an American citizen. Because you see what's happening. You see what's happening now with ICE in Chicago. You see what's happening even with the announcement that Bad Bunny is going to be doing the Super Bowl. You have, Corey Lewandowski saying that ICE is going to be at the Super Bowl as well. And it's like, all right, but what's the point of that? What's the point? Because you know all of the criminal illegal aliens, because that's what this is supposed to be about, right? You know all the criminal illegal aliens every year that score tickets to the Super Bowl. You know. You can't swing a stick without running into a criminal illegal alien with Super Bowl tickets. You know criminal illegal aliens love the Super Bowl. They love rolling up to the Super Bowl. Got my tickets right here. And no other form of identification. You know criminal illegal aliens. They can't stop going to the Super Bowl. In fact, every year I'm like, when are they gonna do something about these criminal illegal aliens enjoying the game while I'm sitting at home because the tickets are like $10,000 just to see? Can't stand criminal illegal aliens having all the money and using it on the Super Bowl. That's an irresponsible purchase. You're not even supposed to be here, Mr. Criminal Illegal Alien, and you going to the Super Bowl instead of hard-working Americans that can't afford to go to the Super Bowl. And we should know that, like, no one is coming to save us in that way. This is everybody's problem, and there's not enough of a travesty. There won't be enough rights that are violated. There won't be enough unconstitutional things happening that's just gonna make the people doing it go, whoops. That's not gonna happen. They're not just gonna stop. You know, they zip-tied kids. Kids who were born here. Because this was never about what they said it was about, you know? I look at ICE the way I look at, like, season 6 of Ghost Hunters. You're looking, but you're not gonna find what you're looking for because you made it up, you know? It's a very scary thing. Because don't get me wrong, look, plenty of ICE agents are over here masked up, top to bottom, can't identify who they are. It's not like they're wearing a badge. It's not like they have their name, you know, all over them or just on the front or anything like that. And some of them clearly built like stormtroopers. And then some are built like mall cops. Like there's a couple, I don't know if you saw that video of that young man that was running from ICE and hopped on his bike and rode away, but at a certain amount of running, you have to accept that you didn't catch the person. And as someone who had friends that got into trouble, I've watched my fair share of mall cop chases. And these mall cop chases, you know, I don't have them on my phone. They're from memory. They're up here. But they usually start a similar way. They usually start with, huh? What's that? What'd you say to me? And then, just far enough away, they say it again. And so then, mall cop leans forward, and then whether you're on your skateboard or you're on foot, you start making some moves. And as you run, they run. And when they run, they realize they shouldn't run. It's a battle. It's a battle for them to run, and you can tell because the kick. Okay, I'm not a runner. I'm not an athlete in that way, but I'll tell you right now that like, okay. When you watch runners, when you watch like, you know, like a Usain Bolt, like an Olympic runner, and they start off and they have, you know, a foot up and everything, got the foot on, the hands down, looking up, and then I don't know why they put the butt up. You see they put the butt up, and they're like, they're down, but then they're like, ugh. I know this isn't true. I knew this isn't true, but when I was little, a friend told me that they do that so that they can fart before they run. It's clearly not real. But he's like, no, you don't want that air getting out and it knocking you off course. It didn't sound true when I was 7, but I did believe it for like 2 years. Because I was like, they do it every time. I don't know. They, you know, get down, they get up, they do that thing. I'm not doing it right. They do that thing. And then they fire off the gun, and then they're like sliding at first, and then they just shoot off. They're running so fast, right? And when a mall cop starts to run, it's similar but different. Because he will do this. But that's because he almost fell. He got knocked off balance reaching for you. All right? So now he, And then he does like kick up a little bit. That is a fart. And then he starts to take off and chase you. The problem is, I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens when you take up the badge of mall enforcer. I don't know what happens to your right foot. I don't know what happens to your left foot. But they stop speaking to one another. And in these mall cop chases, I've seen plenty of them kick off, up. Into a food court table. And that's what it looked like, because my man kicked off on the bike and he wasn't even pedaling fast at first. Still seemed like he was talking. Do you know how embarrassing that is to run after somebody who isn't even breaking enough of a sweat to stop talking to you? And then they also ran after this man for too long. At a certain amount of somebody getting away, you gotta just let them get away. The clip became more embarrassing because they kept running. I'm like, now he on the bike, now he pedaling. You didn't catch him when he was pushing a bike. You're not gonna catch him when he's on a bike. There's a huge difference between those two things. Pushing a bike, he all encumbered. He gotta figure out when to like throw the leg over and everything. Now he's on the bike, he's gone. He's gone. The only thing that could make that video more perfect is that dude, And he pedaled all the way to the Super Bowl halftime show. Anaheim, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Boston, Please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
I saw where the lottery, at least at the time that I'm speaking, has worked its way up to $1.8 billion. That's a lot. It's so much you wonder, should I?
Absolutely.
That's how they get you. You know, growing up my entire life, I knew people who played the lottery. And I don't know if I know any winners. I just know a few people went missing. And like hard missing too, not even a funeral. Like, I don't know, $1.8 billion. That means even after they tax you, tax is gonna take about half of that, right? Even after they tax you, you're probably gonna be a billionaire. That's instantly. A billionaire. And I'm not saying this to like, you know, be down on anybody or be disparaging, but it's like, who plays the lottery? People who need the money. So imagine needing money and then becoming a billionaire in like a day. A day. You needed 252. You had rent and a car note, and now you're a billionaire. A billionaire. You gotta capitalize it's $1 billion. Even if they get you real good, even if they tax you to death, you're still high millionaire. And with some good investments, you'll hit billionaire over time. Look at. I don't think y'all understand. This is the thing, we think we understand what billion is because billionaires keep playing in our faces. But we have no comprehension of how much money that is because we're people. Forget like multiple, a billion. You can't even waste that, $1 billion. You can imagine, I had some bad investments. $1 billion's worth of bad investments? That's enough to topple a small country. No, because I look at the billionaires of the world and the high millionaires, so almost billionaires of the world. And in a couple of the examples that I'm thinking of, right? If you make it to billionaire status, whether it's through valuation of your country or your company, or whether it's through valuation of your company or just general assets and everything over time, if you hit that billion status and you didn't grow up with a ton of money, like if you're already a billionaire, it almost doesn't count. You'll see billionaires, they're the sons of billionaires, and they'll be like, I made my own thing. It's like, you didn't though. But you didn't. Like you never really did anything. Like and look, I know you probably worked really hard, but your hard work had a $1 billion head start to it. So it's just, you could make a bad idea worth $1 billion. If you put enough money behind it with enough time. Look at Crocs. And look, that's not me. No, look, that's not me just dunking on Crocs for the sake of it. I'm saying as a shoe, you are so unprepared to go into the world. Every time it rains, you kind of feel it. I've had so many fights with my friends over Crocs, and it's not about the Croc or the design or whatever. It's about the fact that it's a Swiss cheese shoe. The holes make it a shoe problem. It is not like okay. I live in New York. And we have far too many. I don't even know the number. We have more, I believe, rats than people. I'm pretty sure there's probably 10 million for every 2 people in New York. And one time I was walking with my friend who had Crocs on. Ill-advised, especially in New York. If you want to wear Crocs in, like, I don't know, like a beachy town, go ahead. Be comfortable. Let your feet breathe. Wearing Crocs in New York City, wearing Crocs in New York City is like wearing a shirt that on the front and the back says, "Please rob me." That's the level of prepared you are to go out into New York City when you're in Crocs. My friend was in Crocs, and we were just walking down the street, okay? Just nice little stroll, having a conversation. And then, as you would expect when you are walking in New York, as it is almost law when you are walking in New York, a rat ran across our path. Some people have to deal with deers in the road. We have to deal with rats on the street. And this rat running across our path judged it wrong. Was a little late. You know, usually when you're walking in New York, a rat will run across you real fast up ahead. This rat must have had some hesitation. You could tell this rat was like, okay. You know what? I'm not gonna do it. No. I'm not gonna do it. Actually, no. You know what? I can do this. Let me get. Ah! And then it ran across our path, but by the time it ran across our path, we were at our path. And this is upsetting. Sorry if you're eating. But the rat ran across our path, but by the time it decided to cross the sidewalk, we were already there. So this rat ran right over both my feet. And then it came time to run over my friend's feet. My friend in Crocs. And this rat looked exactly like, you know, with football players doing that spring training with the tires over here. The rat was nimble at first. It got through 2 holes, no problem. Third hole, rat tripped. Animals don't trip like people, you know what I mean? People might trip, be a little embarrassed, but we get up and we know we have a day to continue. If a rat gets tripped up in your crock, that's the rat's whole priority right now. Because to be fair to rats, they get trapped all the time. How is this rat supposed to know this isn't one of those rat traps that take you to rat heaven? And so this rat starts freaking out, starts like trying to pull the other leg out and everything, but then the next leg gets stuck. And so now this rat it has been 0.0 seconds, by the way. This rat has already tripped and is stuck in 2 crock holes. And is over here fighting for his life to get out. Is doing whatever he can. This rat over here, And look, I'll be honest with you right now, I don't even know if I imagined it, but I swear I heard it. I heard where the rat got free, because I heard the little pulled the little foot out of the crock hole and then ran away. And then my friend, who had just been defending his Crocs, had the nerve to be like, I'm like, yeah, cut it off. You need to cut it off. Ran over my foot too, but look at me. Intact. No? And so you have even if it's not the company, the CEOs of these companies reach high $1 million billionaire status. You know? And it happens usually over time. Usually, if you don't come from money, you reach billionaire status or high millionaire 20, 30 years of your life. And being a psycho as well, like working 80-hour weeks and like just doing crazy stuff. And sometimes you get ahead because you cut some corners or you cheat some people or whatever it is. But then when you turn around and you have this like multi-billion-dollar valuation, you did it. And it took all that time, but like you're 30 years removed from when you started. These billionaires, these millionaires, the ones that don't come from like extreme wealth, takes 20, 30 years of your life to get that money. And look how evil they are. I can only imagine. I can only imagine what happens if you get it in a day. Look. For any amount of lottery winnings and for any amount of like money, when you dream about money, that's what we do. Someone's like, what would you do with $100 million? And you might even have a list already. What would you do? And you think you know what you would do. And I'm not even saying that people are lying when they say these things. I believe that people really believe this is what they would do with the money. But then you're a billionaire in a day. Nothing can prepare you for that. Nothing can prepare you for that much money being that much power in a day. I don't know, like, I know what I'd like to think I would do with that much money. Because the amount of money that you've been living on is the amount of money you need to live. Like that, like, I know that in the US, like in America, that's like blasphemous to say. But it's like, even when I was broke, the amount of money that I had, which was not enough, was somehow still enough because I'm not dead. Do you know what I mean? And so obviously people need to get by. People deserve a higher quality of life and everything. I'm not saying this to say that if you're barely scraping by, that's all you need and be done with it. I'm just saying that sometimes you can get in your head, especially when you get a little more, that you need a bit more, and then you need a bit more, and then you need a bit more, to the point where people around the country who make six figures say they don't feel rich, right? And some of them making the high six figures. They've done studies about this and about why your brain never turns to rich when it's you and it's over time. You'll see millionaires say, well, I'm comfortable, but I'm not like rich. And then you're glad that it's through a screen, or else you might. But I don't know. I mean, what would that do to a person? A day. A billionaire. Who knows? Maybe money really does change people in a way that you can't even fathom until you have that much money. Maybe you get $1 billion in a day, and out of nowhere, you don't even recognize yourself. $1 billion. And you're just like, wow, huh. I could use some slaves. I think that... Look, I don't know what makes you so evil as a billionaire over 30 years, but I can only imagine it's exacerbated when it's overnight. Like, I can only imagine it becomes instant when you get the money instantly. That's crazy. Because look, we all have a list. Even if you act like you don't, you do. If you want that much money overnight, You might have a list. There might only be 5 things on your list. Hey, I want to take care of my friends, take care of my family, want to travel, and I want to help in a way that I've been helping, but I didn't have the money to really push the help, right? So that's what, 4, maybe you have 5 things. But then after you do all that, maybe you have some money left over. What do you do with that money? Can you make another list? Can you make a bigger list? Maybe. But if you can't, you just keep trying. Oh, let's fix the roads. Let's try to fix the school system. But then there's still some money left over. What do? I think you might lose your mind. That's probably why billionaires are like that. Because think about it. Look, their list didn't have any of the stuff I mentioned on it. But even though it didn't, it clearly had things that they cared about, whatever those were. And maybe they were only related to their company. Maybe they were only related to more business and getting more money. But even as those things got checked off and you tried to keep up with a list, you tried to make more goals and you were meeting the goals as fast as you were making the goals and everything. And then everyone around you is a yes man because they want some access to that money because they're also trying to climb, right? And then you finally have gone down the list so hard that you're just like, maybe Mars? What about Mars? Mars would be cool, right? Mars would be dope. As people starve. Mars, though, that would be dope. And it's like, yes, it sounds dope. And I hope he goes. I hope he does. That'd be fire. If he went to Mars, spend your fortune as the richest man in the world to be the poorest man in the universe. Because I guarantee you spend your whole life and then you finally, let's say it finally happens, you have a voyage to Mars. And let's be as generous as possible. And let's say that the rocket works, you already sent enough stuff there that it's not like quite the movie The Martian, but it is like that because you are going to be by yourself. No, I'm just, probably. And then you land in Mars, richest man in the world. Lands on Mars, gets out, is walking around and realizes that Mars is just like Arizona with some extra tent to it. Looking around like, oh, okay. Whoops. Because money is... We'd like to think that it's more than this, and sometimes it is. You can point to points in history where it is more than this, but America is money. Land of opportunity. Opportunity is access, but it's also money. Money is how we define identity. Maybe you don't as a person. Maybe, I don't believe any one person is just their job or their net worth. There are things that you are that are deeper than all that stuff that's going to pass away. But that is how we as Americans define each other, is money. In fact, when you get your identity stolen, it's because they mess with the money. I don't know of anyone who said they got their identity stolen and it was in a Lifetime movie sort of way. I have yet to meet anybody who said they got their identity stolen and they know it was stolen because they came home and there was a dude who looked just like them hugging their wife. And they were like, honey, it's me. And then she was like, And then the imposter was like, don't listen to him, honey. It's me. Can't you tell? And like, hey, what are you doing in my house? And then the kids run in and they run up to him. Hey, Dad, who's this stranger? What? Kids, it's me. And they're like, we don't know you. Our dad's been home all day. And then you have to fight with this dude. And then, there's somehow a gun in the house that nobody knew about. And Then y'all struggle, and then y'all are spinning, so then nobody knows anymore because y'all were wearing the same thing. Who's the real husband? Who's the fake husband? And you're over, you know, you're just running around, grabbing the gun, knocking the gun out of each other's hands, and then, you know, there's some bounty commercials in the middle because this is a Lifetime movie. But then you pick up the gun and you're like, get out of my home, stay away from my family, right? And then the imposter goes, and then runs up to you and y'all hug one last time. The gun goes off and nobody can tell who was shot until what is it? Until the Nair commercial. You know, like Nair, that one, like... I've watched a lot of Lifetime with my mom and my aunt. And so then they come back from commercial and y'all are both backing up and you're like, Somehow in a movie, whenever somebody has been shot and someone shot someone, they both react the same. I always find that very annoying. The person that pulled the trigger is like, but then the person who was shot is like, And then y'all back up. The gun falls. It falls in the middle. We don't need it anymore. One of you was shot. And everybody's backing up, and then you see some blood. You see blood, and then you see blood because y'all were hugging when it happened. So whoever got shot also bled on the other person. So it's been about 5 minutes and we still don't know who was shot. Very frustrating. And then finally, one of you goes, you'll always be my family. And the other one turns around and looks at you. And the wife and the kids go, Dad! And hug them. And then credits start rolling. The picture gets a little bit smaller because they got to roll the next movie right next to the other movie. So it's like it gets that little half-size thing where the credits are rolling, which actually sort of ruins the end of the movie in case there was any other note of anything that the director wanted. But anyway, and through the credits, through the little tiny half screen, you see the person hugging the family look up at the camera and go, and identity is never stolen that way. It's always stolen in relation to your bank account. No, because that's who you are. That's who you are to the bank, and that's who you are to any business entity is your money and the number that you are, you know? Now, look, I would like to think that everybody knows that everyone's more than that, but that is how you break down. That's how you're calculated. You know what I mean? You're moved around as a number, and the numbers that make up the numbers you have are how people see you. You know? So when you get your identity stolen, it's not because they actually stole who you are. They stole who you are in a version of how people see you for your money. Having your identity stolen is terrifying because you don't know when you'll get out from under this. It's you. It's you. But the bank doesn't know that. You might as well show up to the bank like you just got home to see your wife and kids and there is an imposter next to the bank teller's booth right with you. Y'all might as well be shoulder to shoulder like, no, I'd like to make a deposit. No, I'd like to make a deposit. Because you also have to factor in what that money doesn't just do to the person, what it does to the people around them. Some of y'all may not remember this. I barely remembered it until I started just reading about people who had won the lottery and what usually happens. Because there's this myth that everyone that wins the lottery goes bankrupt and ruins their life. It's not actually true. It's about half. Which are better odds than winning the lottery. And the difference between the people who crash out and the people who do well are the decisions they make as soon as they win. And now it's almost down to a science. There are people who are financial advisors that seek out lottery winners to help them because they've done it for other lottery winners and stuff. But there was this one woman, it was crazy. This happened in the 90s. I think it was 1990, right? This woman was a server, and she got tipped a lottery ticket. And so she, put that lottery ticket in, and she won. She won $10 million. And then everyone around her turned. The people who were also on shift with her, they tried to sue her. Because I don't know if this is one of those restaurants where, sometimes you work as a server and everyone's tips are pooled together and then you split them at the end of the night. Or if it was just that they were saying that was their table. I don't know what all the lawsuits were, but I also know that the man who tipped her the ticket tried to sue her. Yeah. Her ex-husband even kidnapped her. And she had to shoot him in the chest. The chest is one of the wildest places to get shot. Because there's still some plausible deniability there, but you know where you were aiming. And then the IRS came for her, walls closing in all around money. Because people will do crazy things for money, and people will let the idea of money shape how they treat a person, Money is only second to people in the idea of something that's in front of you that means a bunch of different things. People can mean the whole range of emotions to you, but so can money. If someone won $10 million, if they won $1.8 billion, some people see that as money, but a lot of people see that as hope. They see it as power. They see it as like a salvation out of their problems. They see it as whatever your imagination can mold. Because there are some people that if you got given $1 billion right now, outright, there's so much good you do with it. And then there are other people that if you got $1 billion tonight, you'd be like, oh, I have some things to revisit. $1 billion. $1 billion means, you could buy everything around a person. You could buy everything around. Imagine for $1 billion, you could hire a private investigator to find your high school bully. All right. Because let's say they're not on, maybe they're not on social, not everybody is. And so you hire this private investigator to find your high school bully. And maybe this bully gave you like a really catchy, mean nickname, Maybe it was something that happened to you, something real bad. Maybe you got sick at school one day and maybe you didn't make it to the bathroom, right? And so he called you Wet Willie for 4 years, right? In this scenario, your name is Willie. And you hire this private investigator to track him down. Maybe his name's Travis, right? You find me Travis. And so then the private investigator says, hey, I found Travis. He's living in Connecticut, and he's married, and yeah, looks like they're pretty happy. And you're like, okay, this is good to know. And so, with your money, you buy the house that's for sale next to Travis. You're moving in one day, and Travis and his wife are walking in to their home, and you're moving one of the boxes. Nothing in the box. You don't need to move. You can pay people to move for you, but and you're like, oh, hey. Travis? And he's like, oh, Willie, Will, wow, how have you been? wow, this is crazy. Are you? Yeah, I'm moving in. Right next to you. That's crazy. That's crazy. He's like, yeah, that is. Wow. This house has been on sale for months. And now it's, what a coincidence. And you're like, yeah, a coincidence. Yeah, that's what it is. And you see that not only do you have this nice house in front of you, but, ooh, Travis has a phenomenal house, you know? There's an HOA, so they're pretty similar, but overall, very big and very nice, you know? And right then, Travis's wife walks up, Susie. Susie walks up, and she's like, hey, babe. And then he's like, hey, me and William went to high school together. This is my wife, Susie. And you're like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. You shake her hand, and you're like, wow, this is crazy to just, you move to a new place, and you don't know, usually you don't know anybody, and now I got pals right next door. And Travis is like, yeah, this is wild, man. You should come over for dinner sometime. Come over for dinner. And you're like, oh, wow, how's tonight? And Travis, because this is the thing about bullying. A lot of bullies don't remember what they did. And even if they remember what they did, they remember it in the context of whatever they were going through. And so even if they were like a mean kid, they just remember being a mean kid because other stuff was happening. I don't know how often real bullies think about the fallout of their bullying and what it might have done to somebody present day, So maybe Travis is perfectly pleasant. Easy to believe. It's been a long time, And so he's like, yeah, I think... no. Okay, we do have a little date night tonight, but how about tomorrow? Tomorrow night, we should have dinner. You just come over to our place. We'll cook for you. And you're like, wow, yeah, Travis, it sounds great. All right, I'll see y'all later. You take your empty box. Walk into your new house with no furniture in it. But you don't need furniture. You're here for revenge. The type of revenge that only money can buy. And you're so excited, you don't even know if you can sleep. And so you lay on the floor of your brand new house. Because hate makes you comfortable. And then the next day comes, right? The next day comes, and you've had a private investigator on Travis for a while. You even had a private investigator on Susie. You already know her name. And so the next day, during the day, you go over to Susie's workplace. Susie works at a salon, right? And so you go over and you're like, hey, what? This is crazy. Wow. Susie, neighbors, and then I need a haircut? You do hair? Wow. You get Susie to give you a haircut, and when you're getting a haircut, when you're getting the wash, the shampoo, the conditioner, and everything, there's time to talk. You get to know a person. Or pretend to, because you already hired a private investigator. So you land in the sink and y'all are chatting it up, and you're a personable enough individual, so y'all are cackling back and forth. Then at the end, Susie puts the mirror in front of your face, and you're like, wow, a magician. Truly incredible. Thank you so much. And then you go to pay, and then you put a $10,000 tip on your haircut. Susie's floored. What? I can't accept this. You absolutely can. I haven't felt this good in years. You made me look like a new man. In fact, I don't know, like, I'm sorry, I never do this, but like, are you doing anything after work? And Susie's like, yeah, the dinner that we have. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. But, okay, what? I don't know, it looks like salon's closing up and everything. Dinner wasn't gonna be for a little while. I don't know, do you want to hang out for a little bit? We're gonna end up chatting anyway. Let's just chat. Let's just have a chat, and then, we'll head over to your place. And you're like, does that sound okay? And she's like, yeah, I guess so. It's fine. Yeah, I'll close up here. And then you're like, okay, yeah, hop in my car, right? And she hops in your car. It's very nice. It's ridiculous. It's whatever car is nice for the period we're in. So just imagine. Imagine the type of car, and it is that. And Susie's also impressed. She's like, wow, okay, you must have done very well for yourself. And you're like, yeah, I do all right. Because then, no matter what car it is, I assume it goes fast, right? And then he's like, actually, I know I'm new to the neighborhood and everything, but can I show you something? And she's like, yeah, sure, okay. And you drive. You end up driving to this like little patch of land that's off by the wayside, and there's a small little airfield there, and you park, and Susie's like, what is this? And you're like, oh yeah, I got a call, it was a text while you were doing my hair and everything, and there's just something I have to check out over here, so let's just walk through. And you walk through this little air hangar, and it's to your private jet. And she's like, wow, you have a jet? And you're like, yeah, I do. I mean, I guess it's a false alarm. There's nobody that needed anything. Yeah, nobody's even here. I tell you what. How about this? I know we're supposed to have dinner tonight at your place, but why don't we go to Paris? She's like, Paris? You're like, oh, I'm sorry, do you prefer Milan? We can go to Milan. What are you even saying right now? I'm like, oh, no, I'm just saying, we're supposed to get dinner. Let's have dinner. We gotta have dinner without Travis. And then she's like, oh. I don't know what to say. What is the tip? And then now he's invited. I'm married. No, I know. I don't know. Now? Yeah, now. Actually, you know what? And then the stairs. Wow, my heart is just skipping a beat. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. And you're like, great. And so then you both hop on the jet and taxiing and everything. And just before takeoff, you send Travis an audio message of the entire thing. You add a little something at the end. You're like, this is from Wet Willie. Because now you have $1 billion, and you could be good or you could Because that is how bad things are now. We used to make fun of people that play the lottery, and now it seems like a sound fiscal decision. It sounds like a sound business plan to save a little money, put a little away, and buy some lottery tickets. Just... oh, it's either buy some lottery tickets or, you know. Lean in front of a BMW. You know what I mean? Like you gotta lean in front of a BMW, coming at about, I don't know, slowing down, so hopefully about 12 miles per hour. You know what I mean? Enough to do some damage, but not quite kill you. You know what I mean? Like when you get hit, it's gonna make that sound. You're gonna hear some stuff. Some of that stuff's gonna be you, and some of it's gonna be the car. You might even lose consciousness for a second, but you will, you know, hopefully wake up. And there's some real technique to it too. I don't know if you saw that video. There's a dude who you could tell he was too. You could tell he was too nervous. He shouldn't have done this, and not just because it's fraud. He shouldn't have done this because you could tell his heart wasn't in the grift. You know what I mean? His heart wasn't in it. Like, some people, the grift is who they are. They buy into the grift completely. When I was a little kid, my elementary school teacher got into a fender bender, right? And got in a fender bender with this dude and bumped him just enough to get a little bit of separation, but you could tell that she had hit him, and he immediately got out of his car, went into the trunk, pulled out a neck brace, and laid on the ground, right? Which, if you're gonna do that, just wear the neck brace the whole time. Then you'll even convince the person that, you know, I'm not gonna tell you how to grift, but... So if you're gonna do this, you gotta commit. You gotta know long before this BMW takes that turn at the intersection that this is what you're committed to do. And there's a video of this dude. Still cracks me up, right? Okay, so this dude is over here, and you can tell he wants to jump in front of the car. Maybe he has the whole insurance scam planned out and everything, can sue, whatever. You just gotta let a BMW hit you and hope it's not a rental. Yeah. Oh, nothing would make you madder than getting hit by a broke person. And so then it's over here waiting, right? And like, just from the CCTV, because this is how I watched it, right? Just from the CCTV and the clip, you can tell that there's some nervousness in the knees. Like, the knees don't scream commitment. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, his feet aren't amped to do it. They're not like hoppy feet. You know what I mean? Like this is like, ooh, I'm gonna do some fraud. Ooh, you about to get defrauded. Right? But he had more of a, oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. And you could tell he was thinking too much about how he was gonna land. That's the problem. Because you gotta know, if you're gonna jump in front of a car, you gotta know, okay, am I gonna be mostly grill or mostly windshield? All right? Both have their drawbacks, all right? Now, grill will push you forward. It'll push you forward an amount that will make you look dead to a bystander. So that is a good way to go if you try to do this with witnesses, and witnesses who are not in cahoots with you, right? Windshield is very dramatic, right? Windshield is very theatrical. Usually when you see, they do a lot of windshields on like Law and Order SVU. That's usually, you know, like when somebody running from the cops and they can't seem to catch them. They give them just enough room for them to run out of the streets, for the cop who didn't feel like running to hit them with the cop car. It's always very convenient when it's like 3 cops and then 2 of them run after a suspect and then one of them is like, oh, all right. And then sure enough, they're always there at the right time to just bow, right? Now, if you're gonna go windshield, just know that some glass could crack, okay? And it's worse if it doesn't. If the glass doesn't crack at all, you got hit by a big bullet, okay? But if the glass cracks and you roll over the glass and maybe you land on the side of the car, that also looks very bad. But depending on how you hit the windshield depends on how believable the hit is. Because when you get hit by the grill, you're just taking the hit, right? Just boom, boom. High risk of being hurt, very high risk. Windshield looks a little bit more, oh no. Ooh, you got me. Oh, what will I do, right? Because you can't really control your body as it gets hit and it's on the windshield. So you hope you go over the windshield. That looks like a very bad hit. But if you stay on the windshield, it starts to look like your fault even if it wasn't. Like it's just, the optics aren't great. And if you slide off to the front, it looks like you didn't get hit fast at all. And so you see this dude, okay, whew, all right. And then he goes for it. But not only did I see him in the clip, in the CCTV video, like thinking about it too hard, the person in the BMW also saw him thinking about this very hard. And it didn't help that he chose to do this at an intersection, which means they were going to be slowing down anyway. And so then he finally goes to jump into the street, and they've already come to a short stop because they saw him coming. But look, he's already put a lot of thought into this. He will not be denied. And so even though the car is almost at a full stop, he goes, Obviously, the claim didn't go far. But you could do that, or you could play the lottery. You know what I mean? Because I really do hope that the person or the people that win, have a good life and do something well with it. There's so many scams now. Sometimes if the person's identity is known, that's actually what ruins their life, because then there are scammers who will never meet this person, don't know this person, but then they will masquerade as them online, hitting up people around this person, trying to get whatever private information so they can scam that other person, not even the lottery winner, And it's why people have become more savvy. Now you have lottery winners all over the world, not just in the US, and not just for the Powerball, Mega Millions, or any of that. Now you have lottery winners in the US show up with a ski mask on. So many lottery winners look like they're there to rob the lottery. And I don't know, I just look at the lottery as maybe one of the best metaphors we have for how America is. Because we all participate. That money is pooled together, and it is, and I don't mean in terms of ownership, I just mean in terms of how the money came to be there. It is all of our money. It is all of our money pooled together for 1 to 6 people to have. In fact, sometimes you'll watch the lottery. You'll watch someone win and you'll be like, wow, I worked at a company like that. That's crazy. Because some of what the lottery of trying to make it in America is luck. We like to think it's hard work, because then that means everybody could do it. But it's not actually the case. I know people who have worked hard my entire life, and they were on a hamster wheel. They were on a treadmill, and they were just trying to keep up because somebody was pressing the speed up on the hamster wheel. That's what it feels like is happening to everybody right now. You know, you're doing your best, and the speed just keeps... And then, you know, some people are on a treadmill where the speed just keeps getting increased. Some people, look, to their credit, they have some golden handcuffs. Maybe they're doing a little bit better than everybody, but the margins that they live in are just as thin. And so they're on like a Stairmaster. They're up higher than the people on the treadmill, but, you know, they still run the risk of falling off at any given point. And so the other person's running as hard as they can. This person's stepping as high and as fast as they can, because if they can skip a step, it's not going to keep them good forever, but it'll keep them level for a while. And so everybody's working as hard as they can. People who make six figures are still thinking, I don't really have enough to get by. That sounds crazy to anybody who's living off of less than 50K, somewhere where the standard of living, you need to be at like 80K. There are people scraping to get by. And so rather than just accepting that this gym sucks, people just keep going as hard as they can until, you know, until they either their heart gives out or they end up in one of those like fail videos. Oh. Because look, it's $1 billion. It's a billion. That's a lot. And I know it's the lottery, and I'm just making an example. I'm not specifically speaking to everyone to like go run up to the lottery office or something. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. I think that we have let the lottery basically become one of the better ways to get ourselves out of a mess, you know? And it only gets you out of the mess. Maybe you can bring some people along with you. That's nice. That is nice. But you don't know everybody. You know what I mean? Like, you know your friends and your family, and that'd be very sweet for you to take care of your friends and your family, but you don't know everybody, and you don't know everybody's intentions. You don't know what everybody's going to do with the money. You don't even know if giving some of these people the money is the best thing to do. You have no idea. And maybe it's why, speaking outside the lottery now, maybe it's why like people shouldn't be able to amass that level of wealth. Not because I want to take from somebody the thing that they have for whatever reason. Maybe they really did earn it. I don't see how, but like maybe they really did earn it. Maybe they deserved every like $50 million bonus that they ever gave themselves, right? Maybe they know their heart and they know that they really deserve this money. But maybe you know, they laid off a bunch of people and they bought a bunch of stock back and they did some stuff to do some stuff to get some stuff, you know? And so I'm just saying is, you know, it's one thing when it's a lottery, it's a different thing when it's like our entire, you know. Because then they wonder, I don't know. Then they wonder, they're like, why is everybody so mad at us? It's like, oh, you can't not really get it. It seems crazy. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm an American. I would love $1 billion. It's probably part of the problem.
When I